In today's video, I'm going to be talking about 5 things I hate about my 5th gen VFR800. Let's go jump on the bike, shall we? So I don't want to bash the bike in any way. I was just looking to highlight a few of the downfalls, I would say, in this particular VFR model, and maybe even offer a solution to fix those problems. Starting off light, the condom mirrors. These particular mirrors came off the VFR800fi from 90 to 97, and there's absolutely nothing at all wrong with these mirrors. I personally don't like them. They originally came on this bike. Fortunately enough, the previous owner did change them for the newer mirrors. Now what you will notice is the stalks on the old mirrors are slightly smaller because they're not made for this particular 5th gen. So when you're looking in your mirrors using them, you see a lot of your shoulders, especially if you're a wide or bigger lad. You're definitely going to reduce your visibility using them mirrors. The second thing that kind of irritates me a bit is the corrosion on the VFR. Now fortunately enough, the majority of the 5th gen VFR is made of aluminum or aluminium. I'm probably going to get called out for saying that wrong. The one downside I see is the steel header pipes on this. I have heard stories of the header pipes actually rotting off the bike, especially if you're living in a very humid part of the world here like Ireland, where it rains a lot and it's very damp and moist. Anyways, it's not a big issue, especially if you have an aftermarket system or a full system particularly. You've probably already got your stainless steel header pipes. Unfortunately enough, the previous owner actually fitted stainless steel pipes to this as well. So that was a major bonus. Now as a segue into our next part, the last two were particularly cost-cutting issues, I would say. It was just Honda being a small bit cheap, which is totally fair enough. Moving on to number 3, the famous regulator rectifier issues. It's probably the one thing, if you searched up problems with the 5th gen VFR, that you'd come across. And a lot of people have experienced this issue with their 5th gen, but don't be shocked. This actually happens with the majority of bikes. It just happens that there is very little R32. So it just happens that there's very little to go wrong with the VFR, that it just comes down to the regulator rectifier going bad, and it kind of discredited the VFR name in a way. But to basically put your fears at ease, the regulator rectifier can fail on any bike. So when I did buy this bike, another great thing about the previous owner, you can tell this is well looked after. He actually included a spare regulator rectifier. The battery died on him one day, and he thought it was that issue, which was a fair good guess, because that is the symptoms. But luckily it wasn't, it was just a dead battery. He swapped that out, and now he has a spare regulator rectifier which he gave to me, and I'm quite happy to have that part on the shelf, especially if it's just for problem solving. Maybe I have an issue myself. It's great to have one on hand, just to rule it out basically. So that would be your main problem solver for that, is just to have a spare part. Another good thing, if you wanted to catch that problem early, is to install a voltmeter. And basically that'll just show you if your voltage is dropping when your bike is running. Then you're after catching the problem early, which will give you a chance to order one, but even better if you have one on hand and you can just swap it out and fix the problem. So that's 3 things I hate so far about the VFR, and they're easily overcomable. So that's 3 things I hate about the VFR so far. And the 4th one is probably the issue that I find divides opinions the most, and that is the CBS linked brakes. They're probably not to everyone's taste, particularly people coming from sports bikes with massive braking power. they're not going to feel as confident as they did on this machine. Now personally, I've worked my way up, so this bike is probably the best braking bike I've had so far. Especially if you give it a handful of the front brake, the bike actually squats down, and it's quite a strange feeling actually. It's not ABS, it's just Honda's very smooth braking technology, if you can call it that. No, it's called CBS brakes. Now other than that, if you're into doing your mods, which I kinda am, I'd love to do a set of stainless steel lines front and rear. But you should see the price, the cost of a kit for one of these bikes. Now look, down the line I probably will look at it, because I'm not just going to replace these with rubber. If any of them perish in the future, I'm going to get a nice set of shiny stainless lines. But again, if you're happy enough with these brakes, which I am, I'm just using this whole thing as an excuse to add it to my list. So I wouldn't really say the linked brakes would put you off buying a VFR. And if you own one, you're probably not going to be disappointed in hearing this, because you're quite well aware of all this. So as you can tell, I did struggle a bit to actually make this list. It just goes to show how praised these bikes really are. And if you're a 5th gen VFR owner, I'm sure you'd agree with most of what's on this list. But I'm sure I've missed one or two things. So please let the community know in the comments down below if there's anything relevant I did miss. I'll pin it to the top there, so people watching the video in future can see and take note.